I ain't gonna talk as much in this time as I did in other ones, okay?
What?
If that's what you want, I'm not gonna talk no more.
That's not what I said at all.
I won't go talk, you know. Apparently fans don't like me either.
No, I'm just saying we need to keep the intro short.
Sure, okay, we'll keep it short, which is code for shut the fuck up, Teddy. We don't even like you no more.
No.
That's not true.
I'm sorry, I'm just stressed out. Donna and I, we went to go get some drugs. I do drugs now.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
I got drugs. I got a drug dealer.
How'd you go? You took the bus to go do drugs?
No, actually, we took a car.
How do you get? You got a car?
Yeah, I got my dad's car.
He's dead, Bobby. He can't drive it no more.
$700. Wait, 700? Was that right?
Yeah, about 600. Yeah, something like that. Maybe 550.
Why is Teddy in charge of the money?
$650.
Because I'm the executive of the bill.
It's executive of the will and why?
I take care of the monies.
What did you give
The
that
bank
to?
was.
Anyway, so now we got her dead dad's car,
Right,
which
yeah, the
doesn't
car.
smell like a dead dad. I thought it was going
And
to.
you're going to buy
Yeah.
drugs?
Yeah, I do drugs now.
I mean, that's where he wanted to go.
I got a drug dealer. I met outside of a White Castle.
What kind of drugs?
All kinds. I like to do. I'm trying out cocaine now.
Oh, goodness.
I don't think we can say that.
Okay? I'll call it something else. What can I call it? I'll call it white powder.
There you go.
Yeah, white snow. White power. Not white power. White powder.
Nope. All right, well, hey.
I am not racist.
Episode 37.
Holy
Teddy's got a
shit.
drug problem.
Donna, episode 37. Can you believe it?
No, I
Took
can't.
us almost 40 episodes for me to develop a drug problem.
I mean, you were smoking light bulbs. And stuff.
Yeah,
I
I
guess
do.
it's a step up that you've moved on to cocaine.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I mean, I've been meaning to do it. I just didn't have the money until her dad died.
Speaking of white, that's what we're talking about.
White-
We're gonna be
what-
talking
what-
about whites. Fleet White and family.
Oh, Free White, Priscilla White, all them whites.
And their
Like
children,
the
the
actual
neighbors.
whites.
Yeah, the neighbors of the Ramseys. Fleet was present when John found JonBenet's body. We got some interesting revelations connected from the last episode with the pause that we just watched, which is great.
You guys want some of this?
No. Can we get through the intro before you do that?
Oh, God.
Don't do drugs on
I
the.
It makes me feel so
Right.
good.
Oh my God. Okay, well, let's
Take
just
a
go
break
ahead and
now.
get it started, guys. We got a great episode with some interesting revelations here. So, you
Fuck
ready?
yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it,
ready.
Chief. Put me in, Captain.
Oh God. I'm Bobby Pavlovsky.
I'm Teddy Wanamaker, this nigga.
And this is...
JonBenet today. He becomes a woman, but when he becomes a woman, then Barbie's like, okay, now I am a lesbian, and then that fulfills the prophecies, okay? And the whole Mattel prophecy, the whole thing. You remember when I talked about that in the car?
Yeah.
And then basically, and then that's the end of lesbian Barbie. But that's my Barbie sequel idea. I mean, what do you think? You like it? Go ahead. It's a good idea, right?
I mean, you're running through it real fast, but like...
But you
it's
watch
good.
that.
Just tell him it's good.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
it's like a 2-hour movie. It'd be like a 2 or 3 hour movie. I mean, I can't talk about that. You want me to spend 3 hours talking about it?
No, I've already been
No,
recording, and that
no.
was already too much. I got to edit that
I
down.
think it's a great idea. Ted.
Yeah, it's a great
good
idea.
take.
It's a great idea, but
take.
not what we're talking about.
should invest
at all.
in it, right?
No more drugs for you. No more drugs for you.
Wait, no, that's not the drugs talking Barbie. That's me talking about because I love Barbie movies. Barbie?
That's
Oh.
a terrible idea.
Oh my God. Whatever. I don't want to be attacked. I don't want to get mad at you. I don't want to cut your brakes.
No, see, he's gonna get paranoid.
No. I'm not talking about no.
It's cocaine that's going to do
Right.
it. So.
Cocaine don't bring out. It don't make me no
Take a
paranoid. It just
break.
shows me what.
And it also just creates really shitty movie sequel ideas.
Oh wait, whatever. If you come up with a better lesbian Barbie sequel title, like Bobby.
Sequel title?
What fucking? I don't know. Whatever you're
What was
talking
your
about.
title?
What are we doing here? Why am I here? I want to go home.
All right,
No, I
let's-
don't want to be a part of it. No. Fuck this.
Let's go back to some entertainment news, all right? Entertainment today.
Hey.
So, hey, after we did our last week's episode with the casting news, the updated one,
Casting for the miniseries of the movie and the thing.
the JonBenet miniseries on Paramount Plus,
Yeah.
with Clive Owen as John Ramsey, Melissa McCarthy as Patsy.
Oh yeah.
Looks like they've rounded out more of the cast now.
Okay.
We do have now our Burke Ramsey.
But Ramses.
Burke Ramsey, who is his name is Angus Caldwell.
With Angus. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So you're in the movie. You play one of the small bones. Which one do you play?
I played Josh.
Nice.
My favorite scene was probably the Christmas scene where we made the cookies. This is my first movie.
Oh, it's your first ever movie.
Oh boy! I don't know if he's gonna like the Christmas scene that he's gonna have to
No.
do for
It's
the
not
new-
Christmas cookies this time. It's Christmas pineapple soup or whatever the fuck that was.
Yeah.
and possibly chasing your sister around.
Oh my God, yeah. This kid's got more social interpersonal skills than than the real Bug Ramsey. So it's.
I mean, a little bit. The kid wasn't a good interviewer, but
He makes good eye contact though.
He was a little awkward.
Which is
He
gonna
didn't
work.
seem real natural.
I think he's gonna be good.
And we'll give him a chance.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you right now, here and there. This casting is amazing for this miniseries.
And someone pointed out on Reddit as well when we posted the cast list on there too that they're probably going to have to cast multiple people for him, or at least a couple different
For age ranges, you mean?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Right.
Bobby, they should cast you.
I don't
You'd
look
be
anything like.
good.
I don't want to be Burke, and I wouldn't look anything. I don't look anything like him. So
They got CGI. You can do a James Cameron Avatar thing on you. They put some golf balls on your face.
it's Paramount Plus. They're not doing that kind of.
Well, anyway, what
So-
they should do if they know what's good for them, they should cross promote. They should advertise. Someone should do an interview on our show. You know, it could be like someone like a cast member or a writer or a director or anybody. Some craft services.
Yeah, we're looking out for it. We're trying.
You know, we have belief and faith, and I mean they're gonna get access to our entire fan base if they're with us. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. So moving on in the cast here, okay?
Okay.
We got Rory Cochrane is going to be Commander John Ella.
We're not trying.
Okay. It's a good get for them. I don't really know what he's.
What's he been in?
I haven't seen him in a lot of different stuff.
His name's Rory. He's Irish or black.
He's a white guy.
Rory Cochrane. He looks like the Hagrid guy. See that Hagrid's kid?
Like a small one.
Hagrid
So
from
he's
Harry
most
Potter?
known for
Hagrid.
Encounter, Hostiles, White Boy Rick, and Black Mass.
Oh,
I've heard his name. I don't think I've ever really watched anything with
He's
him.
not related to what's his name who played Hagrid in Harry Potter. Donna, can you look that up?
I have seen that. He's not.
Go ahead and look it up.
He's not.
Okay.
Hold on, we're looking it up. Hagrid, Harry Potter, Potter.
He was born in New York. Hagrid's like from the UK.
Everybody's from UK at some point. Oh, that was Robbie Coltrane.
Yeah.
Not Cochrane. Okay.
So moving on then, we also have Chris Bauer from The Wire as Police Chief Tom Kobe.
Chris Bauer. He was the balding guy.
Yeah,
He had the big brow.
Yeah,
Cro-Magnon brow.
what was that Polish name they had?
Sobieski.
Sabatsky or something like that.
Yeah, Lily Sobieski. He played. Did he play the dad to Ziggy? Was Ziggy his son?
Yeah, which
Ziggy-
is Liev Schreiber's brother, Pablo
Shut
Schreiber.
the fuck up.
Pablo
Ziggy
Schreiber.
with that giant white dick.
Oh god!
Remember how
They
big
showed
that
his
dick was? They showed it in the bar scene. I'll never forget it. I used to jerk off all that
Why was
all the
his
time.
dick out in a
Remember
bar?
that.
Because he was Polish. They're all about showing their penises.
the
It's
sausages. It's like their
birds show
namesake.
their plumage. Polish men, they show their giant uncut cocks.
Great.
Anybody want some?
No.
Oh, okay.
Jesus.
Right.
Okay. Well, also moving on.
Yeah.
We got Detective Trujillo from the Boulder Police. He's going to be played by Clifton Collins Jr.
Okay.
You know him?
No.
Oh. He played a retarded guy in The Last Castle. It was a really good
Bobby,
role.
don't
What's
say
his picture?
retarded.
His picture.
You gotta say mentally slow.
Mentally slow.
Yeah.
There we go.
Clifton Collins.
Clifton
Okay.
Collins.
Okay.
Yeah. Known for Star Trek, Capote, Traffic.
No.
Oh.
I remember him as a gang member in 187. You ever see that? Samuel L. Jackson?
No.
They play a game of Russian roulette at the end of the movie. He's like a teacher in an inner
wow.
city. It's like an inner city teacher movie, but that ends terribly. Where he's just like
yikes.
Samuel Jackson and Clifton Collins are playing Russian roulette together.
Oh shit.
And Clifton Collins is like
You
too
gonna
scared
spoil
to
it for
do
me?
it. Yeah, because the movie came out in '94. Okay.
All right, my.
Clifton Collins is too scared to do it, and Samuel Jackson's like, "What? You ain't gonna do it? I'll do it for you." And so he shoots it, and kills himself.
Oh my God.
Clifton Collins starts crying. He's like, "That was supposed to be me, man." And then he takes a gun and shoots himself. And then there's just like
Oh.
one Mexican dude just sitting there like, "What the fuck did you guys just do?"
Jesus.
I don't remember what the even message of that.
I
movie
know.
was, but,
It's crazy.
So yeah, he's gonna be in it. They announced more casting news after we recorded, so this is just Bobby by himself without Donna and Teddy reacting. But Margot Martindale has been cast as Nidra Paul, and I think that is just absolutely spot on casting. It's also worth noting to mention that Margot Martindale played Linda Hoffman Pugh in Perfect Murder, Perfect Town, so she's no stranger to the JonBenet case reenactments. All right, back to where Donna and Teddy are actually there. For our final
course.
two cast members, Josh Stamberg
Okay.
and Jamie Ray Newman have been cast as Reed Hunt and Amelia Hunt.
The Hunts. Who are the Hunts?
Oh no.
The Hunt.
I know. I've seen that guy.
Yeah, you know
He
him.
was
Yeah.
in Fleshman's in Trouble.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
that
like
was
him.
great show.
I like him a lot. But it says that basically Stamberg will play Reed Hunt, a recently retired oil magnate and a good friend of John Ramsey's.
Wait.
And Amelia Hunt is an upscale and wealthy good friend of John Ramsey, who is a part of the group of bolder women with kids who are friends with Patsy. So, I think by power of deduction, we can deduce that these people are playing Fleet and Priscilla White. They just have to change the names.
Okay.
Why you say that?
Well, because Fleet was a recently retired, he had to do in the oil business. So.
I didn't know that. How would I know that?
Well, because you didn't let me get to the point yet. That's
Well,
gonna
this is
be in
the episode about it.
I'm telling you right now.
I'm sorry, Bobby. It's
Teddy's
just
a mile a minute.
And
right
you're
now.
going to find out later in the episode why they would have probably wanted the names left out of this as well.
you're not upset at me, Bobby, are you?
I'm a little upset at you. Can you stop doing drugs?
You want to do something with me? We do
I
something at the
don't.
same time.
It's making you irritable.
Am I getting irritable?
Yeah, you are.
I'm sorry.
You're jumpy.
Well, that's it for the entertainment news.
Well, wow, so-
entertainment today. All right, so the Whites.
Fleet White.
The Whites. Do you remember them? You remember them, Teddy, right?
I vaguely recall.
For people that aren't familiar with the Whites, they were the neighbors of the Ramseys who were there that morning. They were one of the first people called over, as the Ramseys had dined with them the night before. But we'll recap all that as we get to it. But Fleet White was present with John Ramsey when he discovered JonBenet's body.
He was in the basement with John Ramsey when John Ramsey found the body of his daughter around 1 p.m. on Hanukkah or on Kwanzaa Day.
Wait, didn't he like point out the window?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
John Ramsey
When he
pointed
went-
it out to Fleet.
Well, Fleet supposedly pointed it out to him. And then that's when John gave the excuse that, oh, yeah, I broke that. Oh. Which made me feel like it was more of like, what was that initially
Coming up
for?
with some kind of,
You just left it? Like, what up?
Very weird. But let's go back a little bit. Let's take a little
Okay.
trip back, okay?
How
Fleet-
far back?
Really far back. We're gonna go back to a little bit, back in the 70s. Fleet grew up in Southern California.
Okay.
All right. His father worked at an oil and gas exploration business.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Fleet ended up working for him. He married Priscilla in 1979.
Oh, wow.
In 1994, the Whites moved from Newport Beach to Boulder.
Wow.
They didn't know barely anybody there. 2 doors down from them is where the Ramseys lived.
Not 3 doors down where Superman was, but 2 doors down.
They were also another recently transplanted family.
Okay.
That was, moving there for work.
Back when
And
immigrants were white.
I don't think they call it immigrants when you're just moving from one state to another.
His last name was White.
Oh, okay, but he's not an immigrant.
Why is he not no immigrant?
Why is he an immigrant?
Well, if he was living in Europe, European countries are the size like the
Just
states in
going
America,
from one state to one
they'd be
state.
immigrants from other countries. I mean, I can think of a state as a country. There's nothing stopping me.
So he's an immigrant from California?
You know,
There's nothing stopping you from just changing the entire function of the English language for your own benefit.
All right,
But let's not
right.
confuse everybody else. No, he wasn't an immigrant. Okay.
Okay.
So, according to Fleet,
Hey, this guy.
Fleet's quoted as saying, John and Patsy stapled themselves to us. They really liked our kids, liked us, and they were nice folks. We had fun. We had birthday parties.
Oh, wow.
A nice cordial, like barbecues and
Is that
stuff.
code word for like maybe they were swingers?
No, I think it's code word for they were,
Being
they,
actual, like, neighborly and stuff.
Oh,
they
that's
had,
good.
and that's the
Right.
thing. So they had kids. Fleet White Jr., also known as Fleet White III, was their son, and he was also about Burke's age. And they also had a daughter, Daphne, who was JonBenet's age.
Oh, that's a pretty name,
That's so
Daphne.
cute.
You know,
JonBenet
yeah.
and Daphne actually attended the same pre-kindergarten program.
Oh.
And Fleet and John, they became, quickly aligned because they both liked to sail.
Oh, they like to sail.
Hobbies.
Boats.
Rich white boy stuff,
Rich,
you know?
yeah, rich white
Oh,
hobbies.
yeah.
Yeah.
Rich people love being in
Sailing
boats.
Yeah, I guess you could sail in boat.
You can sail other things too, maybe.
You can sail what?
It's euphemism for doing cocaine.
I don't think that's
No,
what
you
I was
just
on
have that
urban.
on your-
I was on
you
Urban
just have that on
Dictionary,
the
and I was
mind.
looking at all kinds of things, and it's like, oh, you can go skiing. That's one other thing.
Sure. Okay. Well, that's also that is
I'm
actually,
not
that
trying-
is an actual euphemism for.
You're a pie.
But, so
Whatever.
moving on here,
Yeah.
the Whites they eventually moved to another house, and it was a few miles away, and they started to see less and less of the Ramseys, and this was in the final few months of JonBenet's life.
Oh,
John, however, did continue to invite them to Access Graphics parties, and Priscilla was deeply involved in planning Patsy's 40th birthday party, which took place in the fall of 1996.
okay.
Which we omitted this from the last episode, but I need to bring this up in this one.
What's that?
During that 40th birthday party,
Patsy's 40th.
it's alleged that Nidra planned and had a skit performed that made fun of Patsy's Miss America loss.
Wait, Bobby. Hold on 1 second. You're talking about Nidra Pie.
Patsy's mother.
Come on, Mom. That little
The
cave
subject
troll.
of our last episode.
Grandma.
You guys have it? Go listen.
That lady who looks hideous.
Grandma
And
Nidra.
you know, and ugliness comes from within. Don't we agree already?
So during this party
Yeah.
that Priscilla was, again, deeply involved in planning, Nidra,
Patsy's 40th.
decides to take a deep cut at her.
Nidra was like, "Hey, almost 20 years later, let's go ahead and let's make a mockery of
The worst time in your entire
Right,
life.
like
Yeah.
happy birthday, fuck you.
You'll never- yeah.
Like that.
Even though you got all
like,
this wealth, like if John's got the money, we'll spend it, and you got this.
Yeah.
Even that, remember this?
yeah,
You're still not
on your
gonna be
birthday with all around your friends, and then you start a new life.
But at
and-
least you got JonBenet. Maybe there's hope for her.
oh my God, that's fucking crazy, and that
It
also goes to explain,
is.
show a little bit more of these family dynamics that
just mean.
they're just mean. They're not nice
She's
people.
nasty and ableist, as we learned in the last episode.
They're
yeah.
ableist.
Very.
And Don is, possibly
Oh my God.
molesting.
Oh my God, can we
Right,
talk
like,
about that for a
yeah,
second?
we
I mean, my
appreciate-
God, I hope they got a chance to fucking breathe and not do cocaine thinking about it. But that was crazy to go. Wait, what was it? It was like Patsy was being interrogated, and they
Yeah.
were asking if Don Paul had ever touched her inappropriately when she was a little girl, and she started regressing into a baby voice and
Which
said,
you would do,
"No,
yeah.
I didn't do that to me."
I mean, it wasn't
and then they were like, "Oh, but
I'm just a baby.
I'm
You
just a
never touched
baby.
me." That's not what she's doing.
I'm a
No,
baby.
But
not
she was
like
very
that.
quiet, and she
Not
was like,
that kind of baby talk.
right. She was very
I eat
quiet, and she was
baby
just like,
food.
no. And then when they asked if her sisters had ever been,
had ever been he had ever
she said,
molested
basically,
her.
I don't know.
And instead of
can't
saying
say
no,
no.
she said,
Yeah, and that's the thing. They've been so emphatic about other things in this case of absolutely not. That it's a thing of why are you?
Yeah, what's this? I
skirting
don't
that?
know. Then,
Right.
Which is just so weird
Right.
because
Because she says now that I'm aware of it, it's like maybe they've interviewed other people that it's like, oh, maybe my sisters have said that he abused it to one of their friends, and they already know it.
oh my God, Bobby, never even thought about it.
Wow.
Where it's like if they had
She's
already,
not trying to get tripped up.
she wouldn't want to be if they're
Right.
contradicting that because then that would call
Right.
into question the integrity of all of her other answers. But at the same time, it's definitely a situation where it's very clear. Like if you're in a family and there's no sort of sexual abuse going on, you can emphatically and confidently say no, that would never
right.
happen. He would never do that. But if there's ever been even in one instance, one has to imagine where even just one
Oh God, they know about the
Uncomfortable.
Dover incident.
or that time he dressed up as the Easter Bunny and fucking dug it into my pussy or something like that.
Oh, geez,
you know what I'm
yeah.
where it's just like
The Easter Bunny got hard.
yeah, I could feel it getting bigger.
He was hopping.
That where it's just one little thing that that they can never confidently say no, that never happened, and she didn't say that about her sisters because maybe he did.
Right, and she could under perjury say, I don't know. I don't know. She truly doesn't. So,
And that's, but it's
That's
it's
so
interesting.
honest,
It's interesting that she said it. Go check out that last episode if you guys didn't.
Oh yeah, I'm watching that
Nidra
now.
sucks, and that's a little extra little bonus. Nidra sucks with that 40th birthday party that
Little
Priscilla
nugget.
planned. The Ramseys also celebrated Christmas at the Whites' home 2 years in a row. The Whites visited their vacation home in Michigan, their summer cottage, as John would call it.
God, he's so stupid.
The Ramseys would later describe the Whites as our closest friends in Colorado. One interest they didn't share, though, was beauty pageants.
Okay.
Priscilla found she had to bite her tongue sometimes around Patsy over the latter's interest in transforming JonBenet into a pageant princess. The makeup, the costumes, the hair bleaching, which we know that Patsy's denied.
Oh yeah, that's right. Was it Priscilla the one who talked about it?
I believe it was where she asked, where it was a thing where she had asked.
my God.
Linda Hoffman
Right.
Pugh, one of the nannies.
Oh
and it
my
was like-
goodness.
She heard her say, "It's like no." But
Because
it's
here's
like
the thing,
it was
everybody.
Clearly a different color.
JonBenet was not a natural, sort of platinum blonde. No.
It was more of a darker
It was a
brown.
darker brown.
her mom made her that way.
Yeah.
But then denied ever doing it.
Saying no, it was just the sun in Lake Chavro.
In the face of
God.
obvious evidence.
Right.
Or you could just
denies
smell it.
just ridiculous.
Just so you just, start small. It's the thing of she's going to lie about that,
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Open season for
Right.
And it's, again, image based. She's lying about things to save face. It's a common theme in this thing. So, and then we get to the controversial Christmas party. That
The
we had
Christmas
talked
party.
about. Yes, a few months after Patsy's birthday party, We have the Christmas party that we talked about in the last episode.
Yeah.
We are going to be doing a special just Christmas party episode. But there was some weird stuff that went on there, clearly.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
the one with the 911 call. JonBenet's looking sad on the steps. Don Paul leaves town
He fucking
right
left
after.
the state that night. He got a flight to
Right.
back to Georgia.
Atlanta.
Georgia.
Susan Stein, and remember the 911 call was placed, and then basically cop was out there within 6 minutes. I believe it was pretty much the same amount of time it took the police to respond.
Wow, that's
in a couple
crazy.
more days.
Yeah.
Susan Stein basically answers the door.
The
and it's a-
neighbor.
They don't really let the cop in. It's a thing of where she goes around, I guess, the party and asks people if somebody called 911, and eventually comes back and tells them, because he was there for 15 minutes, that, Fleet accidentally was trying to get medication for his mother who's in the hospital and accidentally dialed 911.
What the fuck? What kind of answer is that? Doesn't make no sense.
Accidentally.
How do you dial that? Yeah.
Because again, they
Medication?
dialed on
Oh.
accident. The operator answered, the person hung up. 911 called back and went right to the voicemail, so they sent somebody out.
Wow.
Fleet's never said this.
Weird.
Fleet has never backed this up either. As far as, so we were speculating in the last episode, was there some sort of argument going on where somebody,
Yeah.
somebody discovered something and was like immediately like, hey, let's call the police. Like,
And they're like, no, we
It's-
can't.
and then
Like,
somebody's like, hey,
hung up.
maybe settle down, Fleet, let us work this out. Like,
Weird. We got
wow.
questions. We'll explore that in that Christmas episode.
so again, Don Paul would leave town right after that.
Oh, yeah.
But we know Fleet's still in town, and then he's going to see the Ramseys again in 2 days
Oh, yeah, that's right. On Christmas.
on Christmas, because they will be going to the White's Christmas party.
A white Christmas.
Shut up, Donna.
And again, this is the last night that JonBenet would be seen alive. The Ramseys leave the White's house, and then they make 2 stops, go home.
They were sitting at a big table. The Grinch, he was slicing the roast beast.
The beast,
And he
yeah.
gave a big old piece to her. She was dressed like that little girl, Cindy Lou Who. And then she died.
Well, and then they get a frantic call the next morning from Patsy, letting them know that JonBenet is missing.
Oh, my
So
God.
They head right over there.
They came over. There was one of the families that came over.
When they get there, basically John goes up to Burke's room, lets him know like, hey, you're going over to your friends. They let him collect his Nintendo.
Yeah.
He doesn't ask any questions supposedly, or why there's police there. And Fleet drives him back over to their place.
He's at the Fleet White house.
Fleet takes him out of the equation, so he can't be there. And then comes back. We know that he offered up the Christmas pictures from the dinner the night before. And Priscilla basically was just comforting Patsy. She talked about how, like, Patsy, she had never seen her like this.
Oh, my God. I bet.
Inconsolable.
And Fleet described John's demeanor as basically he had seen John before when they're sailing on like rough seas when it's stormy, and he said he's always been very calm, but he actually didn't seem very put together. Not that he was like,
Flying
losing
off the
his mind,
handle.
but it was just not the same calm John, that he's aware of.
He probably had some cocaine in his system. 'Cause it helps relax you. Right?
Would it? No, it
I
doesn't
don't think that
help
that's what that
relax.
does.
I mean, look at me right now. I got all my shit together.
I don't think you're very relaxed right now, buddy.
Well, maybe I need to do some more.
No. Donna, hold on to that bag for me. Okay, so we know then that there's the incident where Linda Arndt and Fleet are talking. Linda Arndt suggests to Fleet, hey, go keep John busy. Can you go suggest to him that maybe he search the house top to bottom?
Oh, yeah.
Fleet tells her that he thinks it would sound better coming from her. So there's something there where for some reason, maybe there's some sort of weird animosity where John wouldn't respond to Fleet going up to him and being like, hey, let's search the house
Yeah.
top to bottom. Like,
That's
it
weird.
is an interesting, like, dynamic.
I never
point.
heard about that now before.
So, Linda tells them to go search the house top to bottom. They go towards, John immediately goes towards the basement. Fleet follows him. They go down to the basement. Fleet points out the window, supposedly that it was
Okay.
broken. Because Fleet had actually noticed it earlier when he did like a little pass through, but he never went in the wine cellar.
Okay.
John says that he broke it months before.
That's
He
right.
explains it away. But they do start looking at like pieces of, John does start seeing if there's any fresh glass, like on the floor
Okay.
type thing.
Okay.
Who would leave that? Anyway, go on.
Exactly.
So then that's when Fleet said he wasn't standing by the door directly, but John opened the door and he heard John scream, like, oh my God, kind of thing.
Oh.
Not that loud or whatever, but that was also before he had turned on the light. kind of thing. But so he flipped on the light, and they went over there. That's Fleet instinctively wanted to. This is also interesting too. Fleet instinctively wanted to call 911, forgetting that the cops were at the house.
Oh.
That was his first thing. Was he went to go call 911.
He just got a little trigger happy finger. You know?
Well, maybe for scenarios that are actually, really
right.
appropriate.
Right, yeah, that's true.
Weird.
So while they're finding the body and stuff, we also know that meanwhile, over at Fleet's house, the police got to question Burke.
That's right.
Because Priscilla's sister pretended to be Burke's grandmother
Oh,
to give him permission. Because you can't interview a child without adult consent.
Wait.
Yeah. What?
Wait, so like they didn't have like Patsy and John's consent
No,
No, they
she lied.
didn't.
to get okay. So
I think it was because they thought there was pertinent information.
I mean, it wouldn't be admissible, right?
And that's a good point, actually, that you say that. Because I found out that apparently that information about his whole interview and everything wasn't known until the whole grand jury stuff.
What do you mean?
It wasn't known until Burke was asked or called to testify for the grand jury. So like 3 years later is when we
That's
found
when
out.
they first found out.
Yeah,
they even
so it's
talked
like,
to Burke.
was it admissible? Maybe they knew that, but that was interesting that we found out that they, and I think it's more so that Priscilla's sister thought it pertinent to like, I mean, this is a very important time period.
But if you're
maybe
faking,
something's, but it's
like-
maybe her being worried, like maybe something's going to be tainted if we let this little boy, out of our sights now, and now is the time to get this information to these cops.
It was worth the risk. They were like, listen, I'm Ashley Judd. You're Tommy Lee Jones.
And whether it be an inadmissible or not, it's still a thing where maybe the cops are like, we just want to use this report, but it still points you in the right direction. And maybe it did. Maybe
Yeah.
they left stuff out of the report that we saw, kind of
I
thing.
mean, it's fascinating. It's an interesting little thing because it was out of the control of the Ramsey, machine, which hadn't even really been built up yet. You know what I mean?
So the police declare their house a crime scene. Patsy and some others get into Fleet's Suburban, I believe is what it said.
Okay.
And they all, the other people got in the Barnhills car, I believe, and they all go off to stay at the Steins.
Oh my god.
So
Crazy.
Then December 26th, later that night, Fleet gets a call from Mike Bynum. Mike Bynum, we know as the attorney who initially got in touch with John and was like, "Hey, you need to get the best lawyers, because they're looking at you." That's the same day. That's December 26th.
Oh my god.
John tried to say it was the 27th when he was
It was-
he got
no,
a call.
it wasn't.
No, this is within hours that Mike Bynum, and Mike Bynum's already getting in touch with Fleet.
Oh my god.
So basically, what ended up happening was the next day, Fleet had his first interview with the police detectives, and then at Bynum's request, went to the lawyer's office late that afternoon, where he was introduced to an attorney from the prestigious law firm of Haddon, Morgan, and Foreman, as well as a private investigator. Team Ramsey had its own team already ready, and they wanted to know what Fleet had seen and done.
What he said, what he did, what he told the police, maybe.
So over the next couple days, the case is being talked about in the news and stuff like that. Fleet was driving one day and he heard these people on talk radio where they were speculating that John Ramsey's son, Jar, could have been one of the possible suspects. Fleet actually got really mad about this.
Really?
He called the police and he demanded a press release stating what the cops and insiders knew to be true, that John Andrew, wasn't even in Boulder when the crime occurred.
Okay.
So he was really passionate about it.
Yeah.
He then, though, got an angry call from John's attorney, Brian Morgan, warning him not to interfere.
Why?
He didn't want him to be a vocal supporter for some reason.
He didn't want him to, he's like, hey.
Stay out of it.
Yeah, stay in your lane. The united front. If we want if we want something like that done, we'll be the ones to do it. You don't fucking reach out to no one.
Wow.
Wow.
Interesting, yeah, because it's like, wow, they really want to control the situation. But to that point, even where it's like,
Yeah,
hey,
it's a weird schism between Fleet and what his heart compels him to do versus what might be illegal, more legally strategic, coming from the people that the Ramseys have hired and to be.
But
in
why
charge.
not from a close friend? Why wouldn't you want him not shooting?
Interesting.
So, and this is where it gets kind of even worse. We talked about this with the pause stuff.
It gets even worse.
Yeah, well, they fly to Atlanta, basically.
Okay.
For JonBenet's actual funeral.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They were expected to stay at the home of Rod Westmoreland. That is John Ramsey's financial advisor.
Okay.
The Whites did not like being among the Ramseys' Atlanta friends. They were alarmed at the direction things seemed to be heading. Priscilla said, "I'd never been to the South before. It was very different from Colorado or California. Very pretentious. Maids. Everybody was drinking champagne. I finally looked at the woman who was supposed to be our hostess and said, 'We can't stay here. You don't know what we've just been through, and you're worried about whether you're using your Baccarat crystal glasses?' So all of a sudden, we were the crazy ones.
Oh my God!
Wow.
It was like stepping onto another planet. You know, it's a different kind of world down there in the South. They're a little more antebellum. They got, you know, big old poofy hoop skirts, and you know, they got more racisms and.
Well, and I guess so. What supposedly kicked off this whole blow up thing, where we talked about in the last episode, the Paws found out that Fleet was going to be coming over, and for some reason, Don started arming himself, and he started placing guns under the sofas. Knowing that Fleet was going...
What the fuck? Is that in Atlanta?
Well, it's like the suburb, Roswell.
Roswell, where the aliens crashed.
Heat? Like, geez, like what happened?
Could Fleet White be an alien?
So according to the Whites, like one of their drier versions of it, because they don't give full accounts of anything yet.
Which is weird.
Well, you'll understand why, okay?
Alright.
Basically, it started when Fleet and Westmoreland, which was John's financial advisor, started talking. Westmoreland basically told him to back off because the Ramseys had lawyers, private investigators, and a crisis management firm to look after them now. And then Westmoreland told him that they were planning on staying in Atlanta. That kind of set off Fleet, where his whole thing is like, no, you need to go back there and deal with this. Fleet says, I got really pissed. I said, you do that and it's not going to go anybody's way. And I told Priscilla, we've got to get out of here and go talk to John.
Oh, man.
Wow.
It's weird. It's almost like they were being like contained there.
It was like almost like a Get Out, but with just white people.
Yeah.
It's just uncomfortable white people who don't know like how to be in this
like
antebellum South.
They got like a caste system there, and it's like, oh no, you'll be fine, like here in the butler,
But it's
chambers.
creepy. It's just like, why are you doing? Like, you don't need to. I don't know.
No, it's not.
It is controlling it. It's keeping them so far removed where they're like, oh, you're going to stay with the Westmorelands.
Well, no, it's also.
And then they don't even know how to find the Ramseys because they go then to John's brother's house to find him, and they don't know where.
Where is he
and
at?
then that's where they find out they're at the Paws. Because Jeff's the one that called to warn him, like, hey, Fleet's on his way over.
Well,
and
it's
so
also,
Don starts harming himself.
It's also like this. I mean, put yourself in the Fleet White family's like positions, okay? Suddenly, like you're in the middle of this like topsy turvy, upside down kind of world where the little girl who was like your daughter's best friend and who like. You celebrating Christmas and and neighbors with for years and stuff. Like that girl is dead. You just went to a funeral. You're being around all these people who are very powerful and also basically telling you and commanding you like what you can and cannot do. Whether it's something that isn't necessarily about you per se, but you can't avoid until you're still in the throes of it all. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm sure at this point there's still probably a bunch of people who are like, well, what if it was the neighbors or whatever? I mean, we're like literally right after the crime had happened, and you're like, I can't live my normal life until this is solved. And Fleet White, it sounds like he's driven. Almost just like without any sort of checks and balances, where he's almost like more of like an everyday kind of person in the sense of not his job or his class and like social standing, but more so in like, oh my gosh, if a little girl's killed, we're gonna do everything we can to cooperate with the police.
Obvious thing.
And
he seems like the only rational person who's not gonna be like, oh well, if you don't go with the Ramsey, toe the line, like oh they're gonna cut you off, which. That's what kind of
he's
eventually
kind of like
happened.
the first person to face that too.
When he goes there, supposedly what he says is basically he said it was passionate but hardly menacing. He said, we just laid out a case for John about why he needed to go back to Boulder. Fleet recalls, I told him, what you do in the next 24 hours is going to define the rest of your life. You need to talk to the cops. Patsy needs to talk to the cops. We all need to do that and find out what happened to JonBenet.
Oh my God, yeah.
And he's true. What they did in the next 24 hours did define it because that's when they went on CNN. But Perfect Murder, Perfect Town kind of portrays the scenario a lot differently. First of all, again, Anne Margaret as Nidra is ridiculous, but here's how they portray the scenario going down.
Cookies. Making jewelry.
You can't have lawyers talk for you. You do the talking. Please, you do not grasp our situation. We have been hammered by all kinds of ugly rumors. I'm sorry. But when you go and hire lawyers and a public relations representative, and you refuse to talk to the police, you hand people the perfect opportunity to think the worst. You have to go back to Boulder and cooperate with the police. Fleet, please, this is unthinkable, John. Don't hire lawyers before you talk to the police. What will anybody think of parents who defend themselves to attorneys when the body of their murdered child is barely cold?
John,
Get away from me.
please.
Just get away from me. Let go.
Accomplish anything by shouting.
Awkward.
Wow.
Someone needs some cocaine.
We also, Jesus, nobody needs that.
Teddy.
We also know again that there's something else there, because why would Don, knowing that he's coming over, start to place firearms?
I
on
know.
the
Who
house?
does he think? Camp Davidian or some shit like that? Like Waco, Texas? Like what the fuck? Like
So after Fleet told him that, though, what you do in the next 24 hours is going to define. He said Ramsey listened calmly. He left the room a couple times to take phone calls. The Whites assumed he was speaking with his attorneys. Patsy was nowhere to be seen. At one point, John returned and announced that he was going to offer a $50,000 reward for information about his daughter's death. Priscilla told him, "You're going to sound like OJ."
oh my god.
Uh-oh.
By the end of the session, the Ramseys assured the Whites that they would return to Boulder. Far from being incensed, the Ramseys invited them to brunch, which was the next day for New Year's, and that's where they were going to be going on CNN, and Priscilla even helped to do the makeup.
Wow.
And then that's the last time they ever saw the Ramseys again.
Ever again.
Once they returned back to Boulder, they never saw them again. They said they would receive cards every once in a while. Priscilla recalls it as it's like we were fired.
That's so wild.
Wow. Like they're next door. And
I
they
seem to
used to
recall-
go to parties together.
Yeah, and I seem to recall at some point, like when John Ramsey was being interviewed by like Larry King or somebody, like later on in the future, in an old episode we talked about, where he still considered Fleet a friend.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, he never talked to him again once they actually started doing
Evidently
public
you're not.
appearances
Well, so
on
that's
the media.
because the Ramseys would maintain that it was the Whites who broke off the contact. For a little while, the Whites continued to receive little notes and cards from the Ramseys, but nothing as they regarded as a serious invitation to get together. Priscilla did notice that Patsy's handwriting was different, altered in several respects from what it had been before the death of JonBenet.
Fascinating. And like it's interesting that she would note that, and then that information would even get out to us. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah, that
Of like
she-
it's important for us to know that hey, listen,
That was in her thoughts.
like this is not
yeah.
the same handwriting, and yet a lot of this case like focuses around the handwriting of Aletta and Patsy's handwriting kind of.
And this wouldn't be, she
hearing.
wouldn't reveal that for years, by the way, too. This is in a 2014 article.
It weighs on her conscience.
From it's called WestWord. I'm going to link it below. But a lot of this comes from that when they finally were speaking out, because they very rarely do.
Yeah, they're quiet.
So basically, though, what ended up happening was, as the Whites saw it, various entities connected to the case had strong reasons for delaying a grand jury investigation. They started to see that basically it seemed like Hunter was impeding it. They were very well aware of basically the connections with the people with the Ramseys worked with and how they used to work with Hunter's people, and they saw it as a whole basically conspiracy kind of thing. But they knew that Hunter was going to impede it because his office rarely went to trial for homicide cases, and that also because Lockheed Martin was John's employer and also one of the state's largest employers. So they were very, hesitant because they knew what they were up against.
Yeah,
to take
they
on
didn't
a
want
case
any
like
bad
that.
publicity for Lockheed
be
Martin.
Well, Lockheed
Connected.
Martin was trying to sell Access Graphics at the time, too. They eventually did in late 1997, before the grand jury case would actually happen.
Gosh, there's so many interesting different spiders spinning webs all together in a mega
Right.
spider web.
Yeah, just like we,
So-
go on.
Sorry, yeah. So they got to the point, though, where because of all these connections, they actually were going to the governor and asking that Hunter be removed from the case.
Wow.
Like
And-
they think he's biased or something?
Exactly.
Okay.
And they were trying to cooperate with the police, but it was a thing of they didn't really want to do anything official until Hunter was removed because they didn't really trust any of the stuff was actually going to go anywhere.
Which is interesting, you know what I mean?
The Whites, in one of their letters that they also wrote to the city of Boulder, too, they say the people running the investigation had long ago decided against filing charges in this case. Their motivation for presenting the case to a grand jury has little or nothing to do with obtaining new evidence, grilling reluctant witnesses, or returning an indictment, and everything to do with sealing away facts, circumstances, and evidence gathered in the investigation in a grand jury transcript.
They could see things for what they was. Because as we came to discover, like, with the grand jury actually voting to indict and all this stuff being sealed up and Alex
Right,
Hunter going,
right.
not only a court, blah, 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 blah. Like, we'll ever reveal anything from this and nobody's ever going to talk about it ever again. It was like they were trying to put it behind like a paywall or something, or inside the Disney vault or something like that. Remember that when the Disney vaults, when you wanted to watch a Disney movie, but you couldn't watch it because it was inside a Disney vault?
Right,
Yeah.
And you had to
yeah,
wait
you had
like
to
10
wait
years for
for
a Little
it.
Mermaid to come back out.
Yeah.
And then now you can watch anything all the time.
Right.
Because the people that run the companies these days, the media companies, they don't really care about media. You know what I mean?
They just want money.
They just want money, and they just like making money.
That's right.
So again, like in the lead up, they were very hesitant to like want to cooperate. They wanted Hunter to be removed. And they even gave little tidbits to the police of basically like how valuable their information could be. Like basically like, here's a freebie. Did you know the Ramseys own a pair of high-tech boots?
Oh my
This
God.
is before the cops were, fully even sure of that kind of thing. They were, again, initially resistant to the idea of cooperating with the grand jury, overseen by Hunter, because they didn't want anything to do with it. They eventually testified, impressed by the determination of veteran prosecutor Mike Cain, who was brought in to run the grand jury. According to Priscilla, Cain later told her that if he'd known how bad it was inside the Boulder DA's office, he would have turned down the job.
Wow. Wow.
The lead prosecutor for the grand jury case.
Oh my God.
Like, you mean like corruption? Like,
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Wow.
That's what I mean.
Corruption.
Wow.
Like knowing how much they weren't. Because, I mean, again, once he does this whole thing, they say they're going to indict. Hunter's like, nope.
No.
Now everything's also sealed away, too.
Crazy. Yeah.
Convenient.
So much corruption. They're all probably boofing drugs together and it's like just buttholes.
Right.
You know,
and like everyone's
playing
just
golf.
told like don't talk. Don't talk to anybody. Don't say anything, even if you ask. Don't say anything.
Here were these like systems and strata set up in order to create an efficient judicial system and law enforcement system. And instead, when you have all the different positions and posts of power, all basically being buddy with one another, they took that same structure. And instead of turning it into something that promoted transparency and justice, they turned it into something that insulated the people and protected the bad actors by just creating a wall of silence and complicity towards a cover.
And the Whites call it. And that
Right.
letter was before the grand jury, where they said, like, this is what's going to happen.
Wow.
And that's what happened. There was a statute of limitations of 3 months after they decided not to indict that they could prosecute the Ramseys.
Statute of limitations.
And since they didn't, the Ramseys can never be charged with those 2 charges.
With the charges from the grand jury.
From the grand jury.
Which was like child
Wow.
endangerment, right? And something else like,
Child abuse resulting in death and accessory to a crime.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And also,
Very convenient.
right before the grand jury as well,
Yeah.
the Whites actually wrote a letter to the University of Colorado, basically to chastise Michael Tracy. The Whites became aware that Michael Tracy was working on a documentary that he planned to release just before the grand jury thing that they thought was going to taint everything. And then also it was like, why are you guys having this guy be like a professor here?
Yeah.
Type thing.
What's going on? I mean, get your house in order.
Right.
Michael Dick Tracy's over here thinking he's a private eye. Yeah, I got you.
And as far as I know, that those went unresponded because he's still, a professor there, obviously. And obviously the governor, nobody ever responded to them with that stuff too.
Man, they're just wailing into the wind, shouting into the abyss, and just finding that listen, like almost like in some weird bizarre world, upside down, Dr. Seuss sort of fucking, kaleidoscopic
Trying to do the
nightmare.
right thing.
Yeah,
Everyone's against you.
Yeah.
Very 70s conspiracy thriller.
Oh my God! It
type
absolutely, Bobby. It's so right.
3 days of Fleet. It would take.
That's great.
All right, fuck off. That
I
was
can't
terrible.
be doing cocaine and laughing like that, Bobby. I'm gonna get a
Can't
muscle
take it?
spasms.
It seems like you've calmed a little, so that's good.
Yeah, I don't know if this is actually cocaine or maybe some kind of like other white powders. Here, Donna, try some.
No.
Try it.
No.
You're my drug dog.
No, we're not, I'm just a driver.
All right, well, whatever.
An accessory.
She's gonna be my
No.
my mule at one point because if we gotta go to, we were thinking about maybe spending some of the rest of the money go to Mexico, go all inclusive, and I'm gonna want some when I'm down there. So you're gonna have to Maria full of grace it.
No.
I'm gonna put some in some baggies, make you swallow it, and you're gonna have to shit it out.
Teddy, you don't even have a
Cheaper
passport.
down there.
I'll get a passport. What is that?
He'll
It's like
just
some
find
kind
a
of bag.
coyote. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, back to the Whites though.
All right.
So the grand jury thing ends. Everybody thinks they didn't indict. Yada yada yada.
Yeah.
The Whites think they're kind of in the clear, but in February of 2000, they get an answering machine message from a Daily Camera reporter who was seeking last-minute comment about a story they were going to run on a pedophile ring in the Ramsey case.
February 2000, the same month that Ridley Scott's Hannibal came out in theaters, highest grossing R-rated movie of all time.
I thought it was 2001.
Doesn't matter. So what happened again? Because I can't remember.
The Whites got an answering. They had a message on their answering machine. It was from a Daily Camera reporter who was seeking comment on a story they were going to run involving a pedophile ring and the Ramsey case.
Ooh. A pedophile ring. It's like an onion ring or a funyun.
And the next morning, splashed across the front page was a copyrighted story by Barry Hartman, the paper's opinion page editor, announcing new information that could provide a major breakthrough in the case.
Whoa.
The information would come from a 37-year-old mystery woman from California who claimed to have suffered years of sexual and physical abuse dating back to when she was 3. Much of the abuse had come during holiday parties, she said, and involved asphyxiation and blows to the head. Similar techniques, in her view, to those used on JonBenet.
Oh my God.
The perpetrators of these ritual abuse parties weren't explicitly identified. The article went on to explain that the woman said she knows the Ramseys through the Fleet White family.
What?
She said the godfather to her mother is Fleet White Sr. out of California.
Oh my God, wait a minute, Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
So Fleet White Sr., is that John's friend or is that John's friend's dad?
That's John's friend's dad.
So the original Fleet White, who then made Fleet White Jr., who then made Fleet White III, who also was known as Fleet White Jr. That man was apparently somehow involved in these things where they would take girls and they would budget them on the head and they would asphyxiate them and they would molest them in California. And she, and Fleet White's dad was the godfather of what? Her?
No, it wasn't a god. She said the godfather to her mother is Fleet White's dad.
Oh my God.
This woman, she did have a documented history of sexual abuse by a family member who had been convicted of assault in 1980. Okay, her grandparents had been good friends of Fleet White Sr. Those two things were basically the only thing true about it. When the police actually sat down to talk to her, they discovered huge problems with her story. She was, number one, the subject of a missing person report in California, and she claimed to be a witness in at least 2 other homicide investigations. She claimed that she'd been sexually assaulted at different times in her youth by Fleet White Jr., Fleet White Sr., and Uncle John Ramsey, and that her mother and niece were present at the Whites' 1996 Christmas dinner hours before JonBenet was killed.
Wait, Uncle John Ramsey, what are we fucking talking about here? He didn't know John Ramsey when he was out in California.
Yeah.
So this is just some lady who's got some things going on and maybe some real things and also maybe just whatever the fuck, you know, but
Alex Hunter would go on to say to an actual, a journalist, a guy who was writing a book about it, that he thinks that anything involving Fleet is, it deserves merit and should absolutely be looked into.
What? Well, fuck me.
He said this very publicly, and it's the police basically cleared it. You know, it was the thing of another one of those situations where it was, but this put them basically in the spotlight unfairly.
Oh my fucking God. Wow. I mean, here you are, you're trying to be a good friend. You're trying to, you bring people into your house for Christmas. You're being a good neighbor. You're being real good Christianly. And then all of a sudden, not only are those people not even trying to cooperate with the police in a way that most people would think is common sense, but then you're suddenly getting the target put on your back just because you're just ruffling too many feathers or whatever fucking reason. It doesn't even matter.
And the Whites did their research and found that they actually could go forward with trying to bring criminal libel charges against the Daily Camera. So they did that through the courts, and it was basically just rejected.
Rejected?
What?
The judge of the case says that the Whites basically asked for it to be dismissed, but they said no, that's not true at all.
Wow.
We didn't ask for it to be dismissed.
That's so bizarre. All these weird.
All these motions they filed with the court, which we're gonna get to more too. This keeps happening.
Oh my God, tell me.
So it's they basically they ignored that. The courts ignored them basically.
The courts ignored the Whites.
They shut that down, and the Whites just kind of again put their heads down and remained quiet.
Jesus.
In 2001, though, Fleet was summoned by the defense of a man to testify in the trial of attorney Tom Miller. He had been charged with commercial bribery after his client, a tabloid editor, allegedly attempted to buy a copy of the ransom note. White actually doesn't have anything to do with this. He was just called to testify in it. He actually defied the subpoenas. He was concerned that his testimony might compromise the murder investigation. Because basically, once they got him under oath, they can be like, hey, what do you know? Get all the information that they've tried to. They've been waiting for somebody to do something in the case all these years. After the grand jury thing returned nothing, Priscilla kind of lost a lot of hope. Where it was like, I don't think anyone's going to be listening. We can't do anything anymore.
Oh my God.
But he was basically he was found in contempt of court. Miller was acquitted. White was found guilty of contempt of court and sentenced to 30 days in the Jefferson County jail.
Jefferson County?
He, instead of wanting to get, forced to be put on the stand for this frivolous, lawsuit or whatever that didn't go anywhere.
Right.
He decided to go to jail.
Oh my God, he's like Harry David Monroe.
But honestly, respect.
I respect it too.
Because it could be the whole thing where it's like the Ramseys are trying to find out what he knows or get him on the stand to say stuff.
It's called
You can't-
Sybil Shepherd of Sabaeans. That's amazing. And so this is the thing. This is what happens when someone's got a backbone and a sense of character and integrity, and they're willing to, like, just even, sacrifice over something versus any people who try to just deflect and insulate themselves from any sort of self accountability and whatever. You know what I mean?
And focus only on image and
Yeah,
whatever makes it good, not like any.
That's
so
crazy.
awful.
Keep going, Bobby. Shut up. Tom.
You shut up.
You shut the fuck up, Donna. Stop talking to me.
Hey.
You're not gonna get none of your dead money.
So again, they've lost hope for so many years, okay? And then we got to 2013, where it came out publicly that the grand jury chose to indict the Ramseys.
Oh yeah, that's when we all found
So
out.
they then got a bunch of hope there, where they're like, this is fantastic. Like, now it's people actually know maybe they're going to be doing something about this stuff.
Yeah.
So they actually start firing a bunch of motions like Freedom of Information Acts to try to get the rest of the grand jury papers released. They want to see the rest of the pages because it might contain other charges that the grand jury considered but didn't pursue, or specific set of factual allegations underlying the child abuse and accessory counts.
Okay.
Basically, what ended up happening was that the courts are like, no, sorry, like you're not gonna do it.
Swing and a miss.
So they went to court. Judge Andrew Hartman granted Garnett's motion to dismiss the case and suggested an injunction might be in order to control frivolous filings by pro se litigants. Where they almost wanted to basically be like, you guys can't ask anymore. It's like,
That's ridiculous.
Stop asking for it, kind of thing. They haven't given up, though. They've peppered Garrett's office with open records requests, trying to obtain communications between prosecutors, the Ramsey attorneys, and others, only to be told that no correspondence from the Lacey years remains and that emails are deleted after 6 months.
Oh my God, how convenient. This whole fucking thing
What a shit
stinks.
show.
Mary Lacey, who was the district attorney at one time, who publicly exonerated the Ramseys, had a very close relationship with John when she shouldn't have, so they were trying to seek that information.
John Wayne Gacy's cousin, Mary Lacey Peterson, she was not a good attorney, district attorney. And she wrote that stupid letter.
So in 2014, they would appear before the Boulder City Council with their children Daphne and Fleet III, both graduates of the U.S. Naval Academy, seeking release of the police investigative files on the Krebs matter that have been moldering since 2000.
My name is Fleet White. You may recall that our family is currently engaged in litigation with the city concerning a criminal justice records request that we made pursuant to Colorado statutes relative to the 2000 Boulder police investigation of the claims and allegations of Nancy Krebs.
My name is Daphne White. JonBenet Ramsey was my best friend. I was 6 years old when she was murdered in 1996. I became a Boulder police witness in the investigation by the Boulder Police Department and was interviewed many times by various members of Boulder law enforcement.
Good evening. My name is also Fleet White. I'm Fleet White III. I also was a childhood friend of JonBenet and Burke Ramsey. Along with the rest of my family, I was a police witness for the investigation into JonBenet's death. Because we live in the internet age, the lies and filth that the Boulder Daily Camera and Alex Hunter unleashed against my family in 2000 will follow us for the rest of our lives. I ask you to put yourself in my shoes. As a young adult starting my career, I have to live with Google search results that associate my name with the failed JonBenet Ramsey murder investigation and the lies that Alex Hunter promoted in order to protect himself and John and Patsy Ramsey.
I want to emphasize to you that there has perhaps never been a more egregious injustice against a family, and this council has the power to release the Nancy Krebs file in its entirety. I respectfully ask that you take that action. Please make the records public so that whatever truth they possess may offset the lies and injustice committed against my dad, my mom, my big brother, and myself, because it's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Their efforts were rebuffed and the files remained sealed.
Jeebus Christ.
They were just trying to basically clear their name, kind of thing.
Yeah. At this point, I just moved to Canada and start, fucking seals.
But again, so they've been trying to get these records released. It doesn't seem to be coming out. Basically, the Whites now are just trying to file all these motions and make sure the name stays clear. Fleet at the end of the WestWord article, which was done in 2014, again, when they had the hope. At the very end of it, he goes, all we want, Fleet says, is for the truth to come out. That's it.
He's like Mulder and Scully's, you know. The truth is out there. That's all we want.
And they know stuff. And
And for some reason, they're not talking.
Why ain't they talking, Bobby?
I mean, we could be waiting till John dies, kind of thing, because you can't sue somebody for slander or libel,
right?
If you're dead.
Maybe they've been threatened. Their lives have been threatened.
Well, I mean, their reputation has been threatened. 'Cause in the city council videos, they talk about how basically it's like a stain on their whole family where the son's like, hey, when you Google Fleet White, because it's the same name as my dad, people are like, oh, you're connected to this murder investigation.
Right.
But really, they were connected to it from the very beginning as like cooperating witnesses, They should have never been considered suspects. They were the only voice of reason in the Ramsey's life.
What a fucking shame.
And they got cut off.
Booted. Yeah.
This is why I never know talking to no neighbors, and I don't need to know nobody because I know that they're gonna twist it against me and try to make it like, no, he's been taking cats and eating them and whatever. And
twist your actions against you?
No, but I didn't know camera footage wasn't me. I swear. It was AI. So anyway, so poor family, poor guy. Wow, sad story. Where do they live now?
They're still in Colorado.
They're in Colorado too. Well, that's good.
And they're going to be again portrayed in the series by Josh Steinberg and this Jamie Ray Allen lady, but under different names because they're not trying to have their names like involved in this case anymore.
Yeah, no, I don't blame them.
For their family. And it's kind of what the Ramseys want, where it's like, we want to clear this cloud over our family.
Yeah. I really hope at the very least, though, even, with the producers and the people making this show, maybe respecting their wishes of not putting their actual names in this, maybe still, like, that meant that they had some kind of consultation with them, and maybe there's information that the Whites provided
I would love that
then would add, a little bit more from their perspective.
That would be fantastic.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's not based on any specific works.
No.
Like it's not based off like a book about it or whatever.
Okay.
So it's like an original writing. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But it's just sad to see though that like what ended up happening where it's like the Ramseys ended up getting so desperate that they knew they couldn't remove the cloud of suspicion over them. So all they did was just, make the cloud a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Including your former friends, the first two people that you knew in that town.
Yeah. Yeah. The people who were the first ones that arrived and were there for you. And yet, at the same time, like also the first the first case studies of us seeing like what the Ramseys do when they chew you up and spit you out when they no longer need you or when
right how they really feel about you.
But they don't and they try to discredit everybody else that they chewed up and spit out, like Judah Phillips, Linda Hoffman Pugh.
Yeah.
But they tried to do it with the Whites and they couldn't fully do it because nobody's gonna bother the Whites. Like this, it's just sad.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad, and it's like, it's not very Christmasly of them. And, that's the real sad thing about this.
The spirit of Christmas is not there at all.
Well, Christmas was over. Your daughter's dead. Now it's just gloves off. Anybody.
Yeah.
You did it. You did it.
The postman did it.
Wherever you want to look, please look somewhere else.
The teachers did it. Maybe John Markov was a teacher. It's just like, but it's never like who was in the house that night. You know what I mean? That's sad. It's real sad. I bet Jesus up there jerking off crying, over what happened on his birthday.
Oh, Jesus.
Crying maybe, but
so basically, leave the Whites alone. Leave them alone. But
leave them alone.
Hopefully, they get to tell their full story one day.
And they can always tell it here. I would love for them. I mean, we would be super respectful.
Yeah, you can change your name.
We'll change your name. We won't tell you. We won't call you all your names. But we'll tell you. We'll tell your story. We are a new type of outlet, and we're also, we take this very seriously. Okay. We're just like, two regular guys and a stupid piece of shit bitch. And we're just trying to do our best to bring the facts to light and the truth, get the truth out there. And, Mr. and Mrs. White, if there's truth that you wish to still get out there, like, we are your number one fans, your number one supporters. We're gonna help you, and we're not gonna twist your words or anything like that.
Yeah,
we're happy to listen.
We'll even talk to Fleet Jr.
Yeah, Fleet Jr. / Fleet the Third. Yeah, or even Daphne Jinkies. Anyway, is that it, Bobby?
Yeah,
that was a fun episode.
Yeah,
I need to take a little break though. I need to go to a rehab.
Yeah, that's probably.
I think it's time.
Yeah. I think this was actually my cat's ashes. I kind of forgot. I got my cat cremated.
You should be checked out.
You need. Okay, well, put the straw. Why are you going back for it?
No, I mean,
Stop it.
No, hold on, no, I'm not going to rehab yet, Bobby.